All right.
All right, we are now live. Welcome again to the American Contractor Network. Today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Joseph Hughes with Contractor Dynamics. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time giving you his bio and a rundown because he's going to bury you with knowledge. This guy grew up in the contracting space. His father was a GC. He has owned Contractor Dynamics for the last 10 years and really has made it his mission to educate and empower contractors and their businesses to really take over and not have to learn or leverage anybody else inside of the space. So without further ado, I introduce you all to Mr. Joseph Hughes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Honored to be here. I will, of course, I was going to share my screen. All right. Can I share my screen here? Yes, I can.
Yes, you can.
All right. This will not be death by PowerPoint, I promise. So feel free, Garrett, to jump in with any questions or commentary and things like that. Yeah, as Garrett mentioned, grew up in the contracting industry. Actually, for any family businesses out there, I grew up in my family business as a 6th generation family member. So pretty cool opportunity to get to learn from the old guys, I guess. Now I'm getting to be an old guy. So, that's how it goes. But yeah, left the family biz 10 years ago, started Contractor Dynamics. So actually we're 10 years old this month, which is pretty cool. Grateful for, yeah, I guess we made it to that milestone, which is cool. So but as everyone knows, like I think you're always kind of like, you feel like you're in startup mode because you're always kind of adapting and just, there's a little healthy paranoia there to stay on your game and continue to innovate. So that kind of ties us into what we're going to talk about today. We're a marketing training company. So we equip people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. And I just want to sit on this slide for a second here, because there's a lot of information out there when it comes to marketing and business and consulting and coaching. And there's a lot of information out there, right? So one of the most challenging things for us business owners can be like, okay, well, who do I trust? What do I need to pay attention to? What training's gonna be the best for me? How do I know this guy's not full of garbage? So again, we started 10 years ago. For the first 7 years, ran a marketing agency. And for the past 3 or 4 years, since 2019, we've been a marketing training company. So we train contracting companies on how to do their own marketing. And the reason I share that with you is because having done this for a decade, what we've seen work as far as marketing in the contracting industry is companies that really take control over their brand, over their content, their ability to generate their own customers. Yes, there are some good resources out there if you want to pay companies to, run Google ads and do all those things for you. But at your core, as a business, like I live and breathe the same thing as I'm preaching here. Like you need to take ownership over that. Like, you got to differentiate by showing off your content, your story, and your people and your projects. And that can only come from in-house. You've got to be the general contractor of your own marketing. And so a lot of times what happens with a contracting company, really any business, is like, all right, well, I'm wearing 14 hats. I'm working 12 hours a day. I'm doing all the things, right? I don't have time for marketing. I just want to outsource it, right? And a lot of contracting companies will kind of find like a web guy, a marketing guy, a Facebook ads guy, a video guy, whatever, and have all these kind of like marketing subcontractors. And there's no GC, right? There's no game plan. There's no blueprint. There's no strategy. There's no communication. There's no regular meetings. It's just like throwing a bunch of subcontractors out there and hoping that they just somehow produce magical leads. And that just doesn't happen, right? So that's kind of the first lesson I want to impart is you've got to be the general contractor of your marketing. It doesn't mean that you have to do all of it, but it means that you have to take control and you have to drive that. You have to have the strategy. You have to coordinate your different subs if you're going to outsource certain pieces of it. But at your core, like to be successful in this day and age, differentiate, you've got to take control over that. So everything I'm going to share with you guys today is based on my team and I being in the trenches all day, every day, helping contractors to create their own content, run their own marketing, generate their own appointments and sales, even recruiting from social media, all that. So that's what we do all day, every day with contractors all over the country, all over North America, actually, from startups to $30 million companies and everywhere in between. So that's kind of where this info is coming from, to give you some context for that. So what I want to go through today, and marketing is a big topic, of course. There's a bunch of different ways we can go about this, but the biggest thing that I would like to impart with you guys today, and as Garrett kind of promoted and marketed this, this live event to be, is to get free leads, right? Do your marketing for free. So we're going to go through like how to do that for free in terms of money. But this is going to require a little bit of time and a little bit of a mental bandwidth, some energy from you guys, or at least someone in your company. And what I want to go through today is this concept of becoming 5 Mile famous in your local area. So for guys like Garrett and me, where we're working with contractors all over the country in North America, we have a big audience, right? So we have a national audience. For local contractors, you don't need a national audience. You need to get everyone in a 5 mile radius to know who you are. If you're in a more rural area, or you have a bigger service area, or you have multiple locations, like, adapt this to what suits you, right? It might be 10 miles. It might be 50 miles. It might be, 2 hours, as was the case with a contractor I spoke with yesterday in Spokane, 2-hour service radius, right? So whatever that is for you, think about your goal with your business this year, 2023. How can I get everyone in a 5 mile radius or X mile radius to know who we are and what we do, and ideally associate with us in a positive way? Okay. Because we're not just marketing to our next customer that's going to get a kitchen remodel or get a roof or get a new furnace or whatever it is that you do, right? We are marketing to anyone that is in a position to recommend us, refer us, tag us in a local Facebook group, mention us at the gym or the country club or the ski lodge or whatever it might be, right? We want to be that top of mind guy or girl or company in our market that people think of when they need the services that we offer. So that is my challenge to you, to think about and literally wake up every day and think about, like, how can I get more people in my market to know who I am? Not so I can go out and get a signed contract today, because we don't always have control over that. We rarely have control over that, right? But so that we can plant those seeds on our market every day to become that top of mind company, to do the work long before we need those contracts, right? So that is my goal with you guys today. Before I get there, I want to frame it up like this. A lot of people in marketing or business will be like, hey, this is what you need. Like, this is the only way. This is the only path. This is the only formula that everyone needs. And I'm not that guy. Okay. Been in business, over 2 decades now, family biz and my own biz for the last 10 years, to know that there are different ways to do things, right? Like, I know that I know $100 million a year roofing companies that don't do any marketing, right? But they go out and they door knock. They have a system for generating customers with consistency and predictability. There are different systems to do things, right? It might be networking for you. It might be relationship with GCs if you're a sub, or whatever it might be for you. Like, there's different ways to go about building consistency and predictability in a business. But ultimately, every successful business that I know has a system for generating their own customers with, again, consistency and predictability. So got to figure out what you want. I'm going to show you one way to do things that we've seen work over and over again over the past decade. By no means do you have to copy or follow what I'm doing. If you want to copy it, great. That would be awesome. It's a proven framework, right? But you've got to figure out what it is that you want. And the other reason you want to get clear on what you want is because this stuff is not something that maybe comes naturally to a lot of people. It's not something that most of you are doing right now. Okay. So it's going to be in addition to what you're doing on a daily basis. Again, not really a monetary investment, but it's going to be a time investment for sure. And so what's going to propel us during those days when we've got a million other things to do, and the last thing we want to do is put out content on social media, just like this guy Joe is yelling at you about. What's going to drive you through those days and enable you to do that, or propel you to do that, is that why, right? That reason why you're doing it. And at the beginning, it might be a little bit of trusting the process and having a little bit of faith in maybe me or Garrett or just the process in general. But once you start to see some results of that, it's going to be that positive feedback loop that's going to encourage you to do more of it. But figure out what it is that you want, right? What type of business you want. Like we talk with contractors every day and like in our sales team, and the default answer to every contracting company I feel is like, hey, we did 2 million last year. We want to do 4 million this year. We did, $500,000 last year. We want to do 1.2 this year. It's like automatically doubling the business. And I'm guilty of that too. I'm aggressive. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to grow, right? But like that's a big goal. Like doubling your revenue in 1 year. Like there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot of things that could potentially break, right? So figure out what you want, and then guys like Garrett and guys like me can help you put the pieces in place to get there. So that clarity is important. All right. So assuming you want to grow, assuming you want to be more proactive about your marketing and get, again, that consistent pipeline. One of the ways to do that is to get everyone in your 5 mile radius to know who you are. Okay. As I mentioned, your audience is not just your next customer. Your audience is anyone that is in a position to refer, to recommend, etc. This is a screenshot of a map in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I don't know if anyone here is in that area, in that market. So if I'm a contractor in Atlanta, I don't need everyone in the Atlanta metro area to know who I am, right? Like, I don't even want that. Like, I don't want to drive 2 hours across town to do an estimate on a job that may or may not pan out, right? That's very inefficient. That's very unprofitable for me and my team. What I do want to do is I want to focus on a particular area. So this is in the Lawrenceville, Georgia area, northeastern suburb of Atlanta. I just want to focus in this area and get everyone in this circle to know who we are, what we do, and again, associate positively with what we do. Okay. That is my goal. I don't care about anyone outside this radius. And the thing about marketing, or really anything in business, right? When we're not intentional and proactive about what we want, and not intentional with our marketing, then a lot of times, and I've been there for sure, and it's not a good place to be, we take on jobs, we take on clients that we know aren't a good fit, but we take on that work anyway, just to keep the guys busy or just to keep some cash coming in the door, right? And that's not a position we want to be in. We don't want to be in the position where, we're driving 2 hours across town to quote, like replacing a front door, right? Or, that referral that we get, like we take on that job. It's a lot of red flags coming from that prospect, coming from that housewife that we're just like, yeah, she seems like she's going to be a pain in the ass, but we need the work, right? We need the money. Let's take this on. We don't want to be in that position. Being proactive about our marketing enables us to be in a position of strength where we can pick and choose what we want and have the confidence to say, no, you know what? That's not a good fit for us. There's someone else that we can recommend to do that job for you, but we're just not cut out for that project, right? The only way that we can say no with confidence is knowing that we have a pipeline of good fits to go work, right? But if we don't have that pipeline, then we're in a position of weakness and vulnerability, and that's ultimately not good for our business, right? So that's our goal with this 5 mile radius. Why it's important to get people to know who we are ahead of time is because 70% of the buying decision is made before someone reaches out to a company for the first time. And that's a stat. I should have had the citation here, but that's not just contracting. That's just how we do business in general as consumers, right? Just think about your own behavior, anything that you bought recently within the past 3 months, which is a good example because we had the holidays and Christmas and all that good stuff, right? Like we're online, we're doing our research, whether it's a car, whether it's like a sweater for our wife for Christmas, whatever it might be. Like we're doing our research, we're checking out different options, we're looking at pricing, we're looking at websites, we're looking at reviews, we're looking at testimonials, depending on how big of a purchase it was. And we're doing all this research, and then we're reaching out to a company to, get a quote, get an estimate, make that purchase, whatever. So people are out there doing their research. They want to know what things cost. They want to know what their different options are. They want to know how long a kitchen remodel takes. So how awesome would it be if they're out there doing their research and your content is showing up on social media, your content showing up on YouTube when they're doing their searches, right? That is going to build so much trust and help you differentiate and build that sense of reciprocity where you're providing that value to them and they feel a sense of obligation to at least give you a call, to give you a shot at their project. So that's why we want to be out there, because people are doing the research, and even people who are referred to your business, right? Even those people that, you know, their best friend recommends you, Garrett's Contracting Company. Guess what? I'm going online. I'm doing my research. I'm Googling Garrett's Contracting Company. I want to see what this guy's all about, right? I want to see the website, the about page. I want to see some people. I want to see their process. I want to check out their social media. I'd certainly want to check out their Google reviews and see what's going on there. And I might even do a Google search and check out the BBB or whatever it might be, right? So even people that are referred to your company, just having like an active feed of social media content is going to help, like, you know, help build that warm and fuzzy feeling that they can feel comfortable enough to reach out to you. So that's why this stuff's so important, right? So as I get into a little bit more narrow here, I started off wide, you know, kind of with like the why and the strategy. We're going to get a little bit more narrow into the tactics. I'll give you some examples, some action steps, and then we can have a discussion around some of this stuff. So I'm going to, as I share some of these tips here on the left side, I'm going to share screenshots of some of the clients that we work with that have really good social media content. These are their Instagram handles. So if you want to, you know, go search for these guys on Instagram, these examples, you can check out like what some of this content actually looks like, right? And I will draw your attention to these guys, Braga Brothers, here in New Jersey, young contractors. And this is a screenshot of 9 of their most, you know, some of their recent Instagram posts, okay? And what I want to draw your attention to is that out of 9, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 of them. Maybe some of these videos have people too. At least 5 of them have people in them. Okay. We've got to put people on our content, in video, in pictures, on our website. Don't hide behind your logo. You don't hide behind stock photos that everyone else is using the same stupid stock photos, right? The differentiator is the people. People do business with people. People want to see this guy, Lucas Braga, in a Santa hat and be able to relate to him and feel comfortable contacting these guys to get a quote, to get an estimate. So whenever possible, like, show your people. That is the differentiator. I don't care what market you're in. We work with clients in big markets like Dallas, Atlanta, Denver. Like, you can stand out and you can be famous in your 5-mile radius by showing people and ideally getting on video. So as I mentioned, like, you've got to take control of this, because like, if you're paying some knucklehead marketer 2 time zones away to run, you know, content for you, there's no way that they're getting this type of content, right? Unless, you know, you're going through the effort of sending it to them. And at that point, you might as well just post it yourself. So you've really got to take ownership of this stuff. This is not just a generic contracting company. This is obviously a company that you can see their people, their customers, you know, that sort of thing. I'm going to go through some kind of how-tos, and I'll get into a few more examples here. Okay. So I kind of went through a little bit of this stuff already, but number one, we've got to have this clarity. Okay. We've got to understand not only what we want to build in terms of revenue, but like, who are the ideal clients that we want to work with? What are the ideal projects? Because as we know, not all leads are created equal. Not all projects are created equal. You know, we might have those ideal clients. Maybe it's those clients that, you know, that money is always going to be a factor, right? But price is not their number one factor of how they're going to choose a contractor, right? It might be 3rd or 4th or 5th, right? Maybe it's the clients that understand and have an eye for design if you're in remodeling, or, you know, whatever it might be. But get clear on those ideal clients. We all know who they are for our businesses, those ideal projects, because then what we can do in step number 2 is create the content that's going to get in front of them. Okay. Like, think about when you're on social media and you're scrolling through a mile a minute, right? Think about what gets you to pause and pay attention for just that split second. It's usually something that is specific to you, right? It's not some generic garbage. It's something that's specific to you. Maybe it's how to grow your contracting company. Maybe it's fishing. Maybe it's hunting. Maybe it's skiing, CrossFit, whatever it might be. guns, like anything that's specific to you is going to get your attention. So same thing with your market. Like the more specific you can be in talking to like your ideal prospective clients, the more connection you're going to make. So that's why it's so imperative to get clear on who you're marketing to, so that you can create that content. And from there, we've got to create content, but then we've got to get it in front of our market. So ideally, getting in front of our market on social media, on Facebook and Instagram for most contractors is going to be, the channels that you want to focus on. Yes, there are other channels, but, as small to medium-sized businesses, we don't have unlimited bandwidth to be everywhere. So I'd focus on 1 or 2 channels, Facebook and Instagram, go deep with them, really get consistent with them, so that step 4, you can start to look at some patterns. Okay. You can say, all right, well, we're posting these videos where I'm walking through my projects and they seem to get a lot of engagement and a lot of likes, and maybe we get some leads from those. And then, every Tuesday we post the before and after. They get a couple likes, but not as much as those videos where we're walking through and really showing people what we're doing, right? It's only by being in that game consistently that you can make those, you can analyze what's going on and make those adjustments over time. So you're like, well, people love these walkthrough videos. Well, guess what? Let's do some more walkthrough videos, right? Give the people what they want, give the platforms what they want. And it's only by committing to this stuff consistently that you can start to see those patterns. And you don't have to wait long for this stuff to pay off. I mean, most contractors, even in 2023, aren't doing anything like I'm talking about, right? Most companies are just, going the easy route and hiring a marketing agency to run some Google ads or, run some other stuff or whatever. A lot of other companies are just posting generic garbage that's not very valuable. And I know it's out of your comfort zone to get on video. I know it's out of your comfort zone to be on social media. That's the case with everyone. But just by getting over that barrier, over that hump, it doesn't matter how high quality you are. It doesn't matter if you trip over your words, like I am here once in a while. It doesn't matter. What you want to communicate is who you are. Just be authentic, be your real self, and people are going to connect with that. So I'm going to revisit these 4 steps in a few minutes, but I just want to give you just, kind of some action steps for, getting clear, creating content, getting that content in front of people, and then analyzing, adjusting, and improving over time. Same with your sales process, right? It's like, we have a process, we follow it. And then ideally, we're reviewing our sales meetings, our sales calls, like, okay, I did well up until this point. And then the homeowner asked me this question and I totally flopped. Like I totally, I didn't give them the right answer. I didn't overcome the objection. Okay, well, I messed up there. Next time, and I handle that objection much better. I'm watching the game film, I'm improving. Same thing with marketing. So getting into some more examples of types of content. And by the way, you don't need to be a big company to do this stuff. Holly and Larry here, Larry Holly, husband and wife owner, Lighthouse Roofing down in Fort Worth, Texas. Very small company. But even in a crowded market, they've been able to stand out again by showing off their community, their people, some farm animals even. I don't know what that video is about, but hey, you got to mix it up. It can't all be about contracting, right? So these are some examples of types of content that if you're bought in, not necessarily to me, but to this process at this point, like, all right, that sounds good. I want to do it. Like, what the hell do I put out there? Right. What do I say? What do I do? Here's some examples for you. Probably the simplest and one of the most effective is FAQs, right? We all get questions from our customers, from prospects, from other people in our market, maybe at networking events and things like that. People have these questions, right? Well, what we can do is make a list of those questions and we can turn each one of those questions into a piece of content. That can be a video, that can be a written piece of content. Maybe you have an image to go along with it. That is very simple, very powerful. You never run out of questions because people always have, questions, right? So if Bob in your market has a question about, a kitchen remodel and how long it takes or whatever, you can pretty much guarantee 1,000 other people have that same question that they're not asking you because they don't know you, or they're asking Google or on YouTube, or, maybe they're on social media searching around and things like that, right? So put that out in front of people and build that trust. Common issues, right? If you're whatever type of contract you are, there's issues that you come across all the time, and there's ways that you solve them. There's solutions that you offer. So what are some of those issues that people have, and how can, maybe they solve them on their own, or how can you help them solve them? Share your process and how easy it is. So a lot of people, right? You guys are in contracting, like what you do is what you do every day. Like, you know it by the back, like the back of your hand. However, like someone that is purchasing a roof or a kitchen remodel or getting a new furnace or whatever it is, or getting a new pool, they don't like, to them, that's like a big daunting thing. Even if they have the money, it's like, man, I just don't have the time to deal with this. We're so busy with sports, and like, I don't want to get all these estimates, and contractors aren't going to show up when they say they are. Like, I just don't have the time for this. Right. So by sharing your process, you can put people at ease to show them like how simple it really can be. And it doesn't have to be this big headache, right? Review graphics. Okay. We all get Google reviews, Facebook reviews, what have you. We can do like right here on the right side, Brittany M's review here. Take the reviews that you're getting, put them into something like Canva, canva.com. A very good tool. They have a very good free version. It helps people like me who are not graphic designers look like they can design something, right? So get more mileage out of the reviews that you're already getting on Google. Repurpose those on social media, you know, maybe your postcards or your emails, or, you know, whatever it might be. Text messages to your prospects that we do all the time. So you can repurpose those. Share your core values, right? People want to do business with people that have, you know, similar values that they can relate to. Share your project stories. Don't just post a picture and be like, check out this awesome project we just did. Like, no one really cares, right? Facts tell and stories sell. The more stories that we can tell, the more that we're going to be able to connect with people, and people are going to connect with us and our stories. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. You don't need to write a movie script. It could just be, hey, before, during, and after. Okay. This homeowner, you know, they were concerned about their, you know, the drainage in their property, right? We went out, we did an assessment, we did an evaluation. Here's what we did to solve that problem, and here's what they have, and it's, you know, problem solved, right? Just tell a story about that project. It can take, you know, 3 minutes to write that up or to do that video, but that story is going to connect with a lot more people. Video testimonials, those are admittedly, you know, kind of hard to get, right? Because you know, people might tell you like, oh yeah, I'll no problem doing a video testimonial for you, Joe, no problem. And then you know, you remind them, or you show up with a camera and they freeze up, you know, like it is hard. But all you need is a couple, and you can just use those on your website, on social media, in your sales process. Like, you can get a lot of mileage out of those, just having a couple video testimonials that you can use for the entire year, really. Educational content, pretty self-explanatory. Community content, right? Showing people that you are a part of your community. A lot of you are already doing things like, you know, maybe it's a networking group or a chamber of commerce or some charitable organization or whatever it might be. You know, show people your involvement in these things to show them that you're a part of the community. That just helps to build that know, like, and trust. Before and after, pretty self-explanatory. Get in the habit of doing that. You know, tell your project managers, your sales reps, your supervisors, whatever it might be, it is on the job in your company, like, put that into your SOP. So that's like something that you're just always doing. You know, don't spend all this time doing projects and not get photos and videos. Like, that's every single project is a marketing opportunity for sure. Show off your team. All right. People do business with people. Like, we want to be able to connect with people. Show off your team. Again, look at Larry and Holly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 of these pieces of content out of 9 have people in them. Okay. And then farm animals, maybe that counts as half. I don't know. Give you some credit. But, you know, show off your people. And then, you know, personal and fun, like, share some other stuff that's not just contracting related, you know, things that are going on in the community. Share some recipes, share some, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. Some people share everything about their personal lives. Some people kind of like to keep things separate. Whatever you're comfortable with, that's up to you. That's not up to me to tell you. But I will tell you, you know, the more personal that you can make it, the more you're going to make that connection with people. So those are some examples of content you can put out there. I want to give you another kind of, you know, not more examples, but putting this into a structure. Again, I'm using an example here, Clark Brothers Roofing down in Atlanta area. Again, people, dogs, puppies and babies. That's the ultimate cheat code for marketing. If you can share puppies and babies, you'll kill it. Even if you have to go rent them or find them or get some friends to lend you their dogs or whatever, I highly encourage it. So, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, well, that sounds great, but I get to this point where I'm like, all right, well, I haven't posted anything in a while. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm sitting down on my computer. I got to think of something. I'm not very inspired. I'm stressed out. I'm busy. I got all these other things to do. Like, screw it. I'll do it tomorrow. Right. And that's what happens with content. Planning it out and giving yourself a little bit of a structure takes a lot of the thinking out of it and helps you to be more consistent with it. So not only you can plan on it, but you can get your team involved and say, hey, this is our 7-day content calendar that we're shooting for every week. Even if we only hit 5 or 3 days or whatever it is, let's shoot for 7 and let's plan this content out. So that way you can get your team involved to help you, because I know, like, as an owner, it's not, if it's all on me to create content, then it's just not going to happen very frequently. Right. So this is an example of a content calendar that several of our clients will use. Okay. Meet the team Monday. Show off, a person on your team, or if it's just you, then something about you on Monday. Every Tuesday it can be before and after. Every Wednesday it can be sharing a customer review. Every Thursday it can be sharing an FAQ. Every Friday, highlighting a local business, a really good strategy for building your audience on social media. If you only have like 342 followers, that's not that many, right? But if you can, tag another local business, you can tap into their audience, maybe they'll share your content. That's how you grow your following. And it's just good karma, right? It's good to highlight other local businesses. We've all got to stick together. Maybe every Saturday is an educational tip, and maybe every Sunday, something fun about football or, whatever it might be. Right. So that's just an example of a way to give you some structure, again, to take some of the thinking out of it and enable you to plan ahead a little bit. So that slide, which shouldn't be in there. As far as distributing that content, there's different ways that you can do it. Your personal social media, your business social media, local Facebook groups. Absolutely. If you don't have a strategy for like putting your content in local Facebook groups, definitely do that, but don't just go in there and start pitching and selling. You're going to get a bad rap and maybe get kicked out right away. Share all this educational content and things like that. Share some tips, answer questions. It's a super powerful strategy to be known as the guy or the girl or the company that people are constantly tagging in local Facebook groups. You can share this stuff in your sales process. If you have like a pre-appointment or a post-appointment, like automation of email or text messages that go out, you can share some of this stuff to help educate and differentiate. You can share this stuff with your database, right? So, if you been in business a little bit and you have a list of past customers and clients and other people in your local area, send out emails like once or twice a month, like, with some educational content and things like that in your emails. Again, just staying top of mind. Is not that you're going to, send out an email blast and then get 5 leads or 10 leads right away. Like, that just doesn't happen. Right. But it's going to be planting those seeds and staying top of mind so that when that person sees their friend looking for a roofing contractor in the Facebook group, like, oh yeah, Clark Brothers, you should call those guys, right? They do good work. And that's just because they see your content over and over again. And then if you want, you can get into social media ads, which is outside the scope of what we're going to talk about today, but maybe another time. But that's a way to pour fuel on the fire, if you will. So getting back to these steps and wrapping up quick, in a couple of minutes here, again, getting clear, creating content, distributing content, and analyzing and adjusting. Those are the steps that I would encourage you to take, right? Sit down with your team. Don't do this in a vacuum. Don't try to think about this all by yourself. Sit down with your team or your spouse or whoever it is. Or if it's just you, then, sit down and talk to yourself, have a meeting with yourself. We've all been there and done that for sure. Get clear on what you want, start to map out some content, start to figure out like where you want to put that content, maybe, create a content calendar to hold yourself accountable. And then just be a student of this stuff, right? Don't spray and pray, don't just put out a bunch of stuff and pray that it works, put out a bunch of stuff, look at it, analyze it, make improvements over time. And it doesn't take a long time for this stuff to really make a difference, because, most contractors simply aren't doing anything like this. So, and this, again, this is not something where you have to pay money to do. This is something that we all have access to for free. It just takes a little bit of a time commitment, and accountability to make sure that we're doing it. So as we wrap up, if anyone, I think some of us are connected already, but if you guys want to follow me or connect with me. I mean, I do practice what I'm preaching today. We put out 10 to 15 pieces of content every day. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, not so much on LinkedIn, honestly, right now. YouTube, we put out several videos, new videos every week. Nailed It podcast, The Business of Construction. We put out 2 episodes every week. And then we have a private Facebook group as well. So if you want to follow along, connect with me on your channel of choice, like my team and I are all about education. And we truly want to help you, give you the tools to transform and grow. So I'll wrap it up there. And if we have any questions, we can, chat about those.
Awesome. Joseph, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, what a very simple way to look at a very daunting task, right? And a lot of these guys, and this, you're from a contracting family, is like, hey, you grow up in the trades, right? Or you start in the trades with a hammer in your hand or a wrench or a drill. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I can do this better than, Joe down the street. So then you start your own business, but nobody teaches you how to run your own business, right? And people think, hey, I got to spend money on marketing. And it's not necessarily always the case. We're not knocking people who are good at Facebook ads or pay-per-click or anything like that. What we're saying is there's a good place for you to start that doesn't involve a single dime. So the first thing before we get into some questions, I have some questions. By the way, if you're here live and you have some questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll make sure that we answer them. But the first thing that I want to say is, again, if you guys are curious on what it would look like to put a strategy together to market your business, become, as Joe said, 5 Mile famous, reach out to him. He gave you like 16 different places that you can connect with him. But definitely connect with him, right? He's very responsive. His team is amazing. So definitely reach out to him. Yeah, he talked about it at the end, but he's really all about education, right? Which really, that's what marketing is. So Joe does a great job. That's why he's part of this network. That's why we have him here. So Joe, I have a couple of questions. You were talking about, 5 Mile famous. You were talking about getting everybody to know who you are and what you do. What would you say, off of your 10 plus years of experience, what would you say is the average number of touch points that a buyer usually needs before they will ever reach out? Now, you and I know what touch points are, so I'll let you kind of explain that a little bit deeper, but what would you say the average number of touch points are before somebody reaches out?
Man, I mean, if you Google that, you're gonna get like the answer between like 8 and 15 times that people need to be exposed to your brand before they feel comfortable enough to like reach out or pick up the phone or go to your website and fill out a form or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I would say somewhere in that range, 8 to 15 times. I mean, with contracting, like, especially if you're talking about some of the more expensive projects that people might do, like an addition or something like that, like it could be years. Like, it's similar with us. Like we are a service company and we have a 12-month marketing training program. Like we enrolled 2 clients yesterday. One of that we have been in our CRM for over 3 years and have never done business with us. So it's like, you just never know. Right. And I'll say this, like, again, your customers buy how you buy. Right. So think about the last time, you're sitting there scrolling social media and you see a single ad for something and you're like, oh, that looks awesome. I'm going to fill out my contact info and I'm going to spend, 20 grand on a new roof because I saw this awesome ad from this company. Like that rarely, I don't know if that ever happens, right? It's a matter of like, people feeling comfortable and so they're going to need to see your content, over and over again before they're like, all right, well, either like I trust these guys enough, or I've been seeing these guys content for 6 months and now, we're finally ready for our new roof, right? We got our tax refund back and we're ready to go, right? You just never know when someone's gonna be ready. So, and that's quite frankly, like more education, like when you hire a marketing agency, and I can say this because I ran one for 7 years and, we did our best and I think we did pretty well. We didn't bat 1,000, but I don't think anyone does. When you hire a marketing agency to run ads for you, like, they're going to say, all right, we're going to try to generate 30 leads a month or whatever, 15 leads a month or whatever. And they're going to jump in there and they're going to run ads and they're going to, hit that quota of leads, 15 or 30 or whatever it is. The thing is, they're going to run like a lot of times like gimmicky ads are going to get people to like put in their info and they're still like super cold leads because those people have no idea who you are. They don't know if you're a Chuck or if you've been in business 10 years. Like they have no context for that. So that's why like we're so big on social media, because you can show people who you are and build that brand, build that know, like, and trust. So when people reach out to you, they know that you're not the Chuck in a truck. They know you're not going to be the cheapest guy, right? But they're reaching out to you because they see some value, some indications of quality, or they like your style or whatever it is. So that's a long answer, but as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's a perfect answer, I think, because you're right. Every marketing book that you read, it's like, oh, 8 to 15 touch points, right? Or they need to see they need to see something from you 8 to 15 times. But I mean, you're dead on. It's the same thing. I had a guy who reached out this week, and we're going to start working together next week. Literally a year, an entire year, which for me was a long time. So to hear you 3 is like, man, that's crazy.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's the way it is, right? And so you're building that know, like, trust factor when they can't be face to face with you, or they're not your next door neighbor, or you're not inviting them over for a barbecue. But really you are through your phone, right? Hey, this is who we are. This is how we do. And I like how you mentioned some different strategies inside of there that didn't involve just talking about, hey, we do roofs. If you need a new roof, call us, right? People don't want to see that. They don't want to be sold. They want to be educated.
Yeah, for sure. And they want to feel, like I'm here, I live at the Jersey Shore. Okay. Fist pump if you want, but I don't I don't need to, if I need if I need a new roof, right? Like obviously I know who I'm going to call because I got friends and clients and all that, but I don't need to hire the best roofing contractor at the Jersey Shore. Like I don't even know who that is. Like how do you even measure that? Like obviously everyone's website says we are the best, but like how do you really measure that? What I need to do is like my wife and I need to feel comfortable about the person or the company that we're hiring and feel that level of certainty. Like, okay, they're going to show up. They're not going to trash my property. They're not going to leave, beer cans in the bushes or whatever. They're going to do a good job. They're not going to shortcut. They're going to be around to, to call back for any issues down the road, whatever. Like we just want that certainty. So like when you're marketing, when you're putting out content, just think about how you can just build that certainty. And a lot of times really that's video. It just, that connection is so powerful.
Yeah, you're so dead on, and thanks for sharing that. Another question, and I know this comes up because I push what you say. I'm just not an expert in it, which is why you're here. But if I'm a new contractor, a new plumber, a new electrician, a new roofer, and I'm like, this is cool, I really want to do this, how much time is it going to take, right? That's the next question that comes up because it's a time investment more than anything. What would you say if they were, let's just say 5 days a week, they were going to post, once a day? Like how much time should they really invest in at least a basic marketing strategy?
Man, yeah, it's a great question. It depends on how, so if you're just starting out and you want to kind of fill your pipeline with a few, get a few more leads a week or something like that. I mean, if you can focus an hour a day, 5 days a week, I think that would be a really good start. And it's not, posting something doesn't take an hour, right? But it might be, going to the job site and doing a video, or, just doing a video sitting at your desk. You don't have to, this time of year, if you're not, if you're not super busy right now, because it's January and you're in the northern half of the country, like Garrett and I are, then, maybe you're not out there doing roofing jobs or whatever, or landscaping. But you can sit here at your desk and still provide some education. So yeah, I mean, if you can commit to an hour a week, and that would also like, do some research, like, check out some of my content, like check out, like do some Googling around, your local area, for, competitors, and see what they're doing. Don't copy them because likely they're not doing anything great anyway, but like, kind of see what's out there and get an education. Especially this time of year. Like if you're not, slammed right now, like invest some time into learning some of the stuff,
Yeah, that's great. That kind of leads into the next question. So I'm a roofer, and I really like what you say, and I really want to get this going. Like, where should I start? Like, do I just like pick up my phone? Like, well, what do I do? Where should I start?
Like, can you be more specific? Start with what?
So I want to start a social media strategy, right? So I want to start posting on Facebook or Instagram or both. Like, where do I start? Like, how do I get
Okay.
this whole thing rolling?
Well, those steps I went through, like the clarity would be the first thing. And so it's like, okay, what do I want? Okay, I'm at $1 million. I did 1 million last year. I want to do 2 million this year, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, well, what areas do I want to focus on geographically? Who are the ideal clients, the ideal projects? What are the jobs that we can really produce really well? Is it shingle? Is it metal? Is it slate? Is it cedar? Like, what do we want to specialize in? Where do we get the most profit? That sort of thing. So get clear on like starting with the end in mind. And then it would be like, okay, well, say it's like Cedar Shake Roofing. Like, okay, well, who's our perfect client for that? And like, what's going on in their mind? Like, if you have a client or you've had clients, like, call them up and be like, why'd you choose to go with us? Like, what was your decision-making process like? That sort of thing. Like, don't be afraid. Like, what are they going through? Like, are they evaluating costs? Are they evaluating like, do I need cedar versus metal or asphalt or whatever? And like, think about those things. And then, yeah, I think the first thing would be just to, sit at your desk or your truck or in a front yard and just, start to answer this question. Like, hey, a lot of people are considering like cedar shake roofs. They're wondering like how long they really last, or like, how much you need to maintain them, especially if you're near the coast and the salt air and that sort of thing. And then here's some answers, here's some education to help you kind of make that decision and just answer those FAQs. Like, that would be a really good place to start. And again, as far as channels, I'd focus on Facebook and Instagram. Yes, even for commercial contractors, absolutely a great place there. And then you can kind of expand from there. But I would just answer questions on video on Facebook and Instagram and do that consistently.
I like that. And I'm going to kind of boil that down because just nuggets of information, and it's a good thing we're recording this. But really 3 things, right? You talk about your ideal target audience. In other words, who do you want to work with, right? From there, you got to do some research, like what are their pains? What are their problems, right? What is it that they're looking for? And you obviously brought up some examples. You can call past clients and whatnot. But when you understand who you're marketing to and what their pain and problems are, now you can deploy, as you said, sit in front of your doorstep and record. But ultimately, you're now answering the questions that your audience has.
Yeah, for sure. And like, ultimately the reaction, if you can visualize this, like visualize your perfect prospective client, you want them to be on their phone and be like, holy, this, like, how's this guy know what I'm thinking? Like, this is crazy. Like, I need to talk to him. So that's like the ultimate reaction that you want to engineer.
Yeah, I love that. And really quick, I'm just going to show you, like, Joe's one of the guys that inspired me to get going on this. And this is just on Instagram, right? But when you start getting messages like, hey, great share, or the fire emoji, or, all these different things, like, you're hitting something, right? A lot of people may not comment, and that's okay. But when the ones that do comment with what you want, then you're hitting it, right?
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like, if you're just starting out, especially, don't get discouraged if like no one besides your mom and your sales rep likes your content, right? It's happened to me before. But a lot of people, most people consume but do not engage. Engage means like it, comment, share, DM, whatever. And just think about your own behavior again. Like, how many pieces of content have you seen on social media today? Maybe 1,000. How many have you actually engaged with? Like maybe 10, like you're talking about 1%, right? And that's just how we do things, right? So they're just going to be people that see your stuff over and over and again. And, trust me, trust Garrett, trust the process. They'll reach out when they're ready, and they'll say things like, oh yeah, I see you all over the place. I've been watching your stuff for months. We're ready for that kitchen remodel or whatever. Like, it happens all the time. So don't get discouraged if you don't get those, the vanity metrics right out of the gate. But you will, people ask like, how do you measure this stuff? Right. It's not ads. So it's a little bit difficult to measure. I encourage you to like think about measuring it on a macro perspective. Like, okay, well, it's Q1 2023. On commit to doing this 5 days a week. And we're going to assess, weekly, but like at the end of March, we'll look back and say, all right, well, did we get an increase in leads? Did we get an increase in people, mentioning us, or, are we getting better opportunities or whatever it is? So kind of look at it qualitatively. and say, all right, well, we did this activity. Do we have more on the back end? And that's kind of how you measure it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So, Joe, you mentioned it at the beginning, but I want to wrap it up here at the end. So, if these guys have either more specific questions or they're like, hey, you know what? I love what you said. I 100% agree with it, but I just cannot figure this thing out for the life of me. I'm good at hanging shingles or, screwing in screws into drywall, but I'm not good at this stuff. And they're like, really want to work with you. What's the best way for them to figure that out?
Yeah, sure. So head on over to contractordynamics.com. We've got some training on there. We've got a little chat widget there. You can pop in there and send us a message or go schedule a call with someone here on our team to kind of give you some insights. And we've got Dan and Alex on our team. They're our marketing advisors. They're here to really advise, ensure they can sell if their opportunities there. But like we're looking to educate first and really give you guys the tips and tools and whatnot. That Dan had a couple calls today with a couple people that just weren't really a good fit. And so, we'll try to give them some videos and point them in the right direction, but and we're happy to do that. So yeah, contractordynamics.com.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, Joe, I appreciate you making time today. For those of you guys who have been on the fence or thinking about doing this, he gave you guys a great strategy. Again, this will all be live, or I should say not live anymore, but this is live. It'll be in the app, so you guys can go back and review this. But again, highly, highly recommend if you're looking for someone to help you with this, Joe is going to be your guide. All right, so that's all we have for you guys today. Appreciate you. You guys know what time it is, though. Let's talk. Time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go.